Welcome back to the program. Time now to talk politics. I have two political animals with me. I have Shane Broadway, the president of the Central Arkansas Political Animals Club, also the vice president for university relations at Arkansas State University, and Rex Nelson, former Central Arkansas Political Animal Club president and now with the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Good to be here. Thanks, Robbie.
Let's talk some politics. We got a lot to talk about here. But first, let's talk about the politics of Razorback football. Jeff Long out as the athletic director. I don't think this was a big surprise with all the pressure that's been mounting. Tell me what happened and what happens next, Rex.
Well, it's not an overnight thing, as you said. It has been building for a number of years. I think you saw key supporters of the program, key donors, becoming more and more alienated with the Long administration, especially those outside of Northwest Arkansas, those in Central Arkansas, South Arkansas, East Arkansas, who felt they were a bit forgotten by the powers that be in Fayetteville. So it's been building for some time. The bad football season, the bad attendances that have thus followed, of course, just pushed that process along. But it's not just about football. It's not just about won-loss records. It's about a lot more than that. He had lost confidence. He had lost support. So I think we all knew the handwriting was on the wall after that executive session last week of the Board of Trustees that lasted more than 3 hours.
It was almost 4 hours. I was there. And a very gracious statement by Jeff Long at the end of all of this, too, which I thought was first class and very professional. Mind your ASU P's and Q's here, Mr. Broadway here. But tell me what happens next. So you sense that there'll be search committee for a replacement. How does this play out from a university perspective?
You normally do. We'll go through a search process, I think, and you and I have talked about this. I think it will have to be someone with some tie to either the state or to the university.
Absolutely.
And I can come at that from my perspective of my AD at ASU, Terry Mahajer, graduate football player. It has a different connotation when it's that person. And his phrase is, it's my school man. And so I think that's what people are looking for. My sense is someone with some kind of connection to it, some drive, some passion for the program.
And maybe some healing the fan base that you're talking about, Rex, there, just as somebody to kind of help put some Band-Aids on some
I think Shane's hit on it exactly. I think you either need somebody that played at the University of Arkansas or you need somebody who was born and raised in the state of Arkansas, understands our culture, understands our tradition. So much of that job now is marketing. You've got to have somebody that goes to every Rotary Club in the state. You've got to have everybody that goes to every barbecue, every fish fry. Sounds like a pretty good job to me. Now that I'm listing those things off, that's kind of things I like to do. But in this day and time,
candidate for the next
in this day and time, that's what you got to have, and you've got to have it in all 75 counties, because at least 50 of those counties, Razorback fans feel forgotten right now.
Yeah, all right.
I will say, and I worked with Jeff in a different role when I was director of higher ed. Always treated with great respect and class. And he was a more business-minded, I think, more than what you're telling me. More corporate type than he was the rah-rah kind of guy. But I will always have respect for him in the way he handled some situations that I dealt with him in.
I'll tell one little quick anecdote. When I worked for Governor Huckabee, I'll never forget one day we had some analysts from DFNA, and they were getting deep into the weeds, and the governor finally cut them off and said, look, you guys got to realize you're the ones in research and development. I'm in sales and marketing. and I think that it's same with the athletic director at the University of Arkansas. I think you need a sales and marketing person.
The thing I remember about Jeff the most was I was in Fayetteville on campus as director of higher ed the day the Brett Bielema press conference occurred. And the relief on his face, you'd just gone through the Bobby Petrino thing, the John L. Smith here, and we had a dinner at the Chancellor's house afterwards and for the Bielemas, and just the relief and the everything that kind of came off of him. I'll always remember that. He was a totally different person, after that press conference, because of everything had been kind of thrust on him. So,
All right, so let's shift gears and let's talk Alabama politics, but I think there's a way to pull it into Arkansas here too. This Roy Moore situation has just become so complicated for the Republicans in the state of Alabama, but nationally as well too. I'll come to you first, Rex. Where do you think this story goes over the next month?
I think it continues. It is a huge mess Moore seems like the type right now that's not going to drop out. So if he wins, does the Senate refuse to seat him? I think there's a very good chance of that. I think we're going into some pretty unprecedented territory right now with this case. Republicans are extremely uncomfortable right now, and this comes at a time where most of them are already uncomfortable with their president. Now they're uncomfortable with their senatorial nominee down in Alabama.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that what this really complicates, you had this whole story and what happens there, but what it's done is taken away from the message of tax reform. I mean, that is been the topic for the last couple of months since healthcare failed. Tax reform, and this whole week has not been on message about that.
Well, and the bigger thing, too, to me, in the longer run for the national Republicans, and where I think it could play out in other states, maybe not Arkansas, but certainly in some more purple states, is you're going to get to hang this around Republican candidates, this Roy Moore candidacy. This is the party of, or that accepts this. That is going to be a political tool, political weapon for Democrats in a huge way in the 2018
absolutely.
elections, which is why I think you see the pushback in Washington.
And because of the extreme unpopularity of President Trump, if you look at the nation as a whole, you're already looking at a bad midterm election year next year for Republicans, and this could potentially make it an even worse year.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and talk some more politics, some Arkansas politics with Rex Nelson and Shane Broadway. I'm Roby Brock. We're back right after this word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the program. I'm with Rex Nelson and Shane Broadway. We are talking politics, fellas. Let's go to what seems to be happening is Arkansas is losing a lot of its political elites here to the Trump administration in a variety of ways. We've seen state legislators have been plucked by the Trump administration. Certainly a lot of folks with Arkansas ties, particularly from the Huckabee administration. Right. And Huckabee years are up there. Is there something in the water in Arkansas again, Rex?
Well, we're just good at politics in this state. I mean, the thing that impressed me most, Shane, was the fact that, Hogan Gidley used to work for me in the governor's office and still passed the FBI background check.
That's the shocker. That's what I told Hogan. I said, I can't believe you passed that. It is. And Rex and I watched Sarah Huckabee grow up, Sarah Sanders grow up, and Hogan in the office. When I was in the legislature, he was in the governor's office. I watched Judd Deere grow up in Saline County, and so we're very proud of him. So it's great to see young people who are taking on these roles and stepping up and kind of being that next generation of leaders. And I think it's any time that in our Kansas conservative administration, I mean, this whole weekend has been about the 25th anniversary of the Clinton election. A lot of people who went to Washington, gone on to successful careers, who represented Arkansas when the Clintons were in the White House. So I think it's always a good thing. And certainly for those of us who had to go up and do business in Washington, that you've got a friendly face that you can call on when you might need some help or advice on where to go.
Yeah. Speaking of the 25th anniversary of the Clinton election here, you were probably in diapers the night that he was elected.
I was in college, but thank you.
Do you remember where you were and what you were doing that night?
Yeah, I was actually down in front of the old State House. I'd come down from college that night. I was a sophomore, I guess, at ASU in college. So yeah, I do. I came down. Just part of history.
Where were you writing your story that night?
I was going to say, I was writing the lead story, actually, for what probably will go down as one of the most famous front pages in Arkansas history. So I was right there in the Democrat Gazette newsroom. One little interesting anecdote, one of my all-time favorite leads on a newspaper story had been a guy named John Noble Wilford, who covered for the New York Times the space program. And his lead was "Man landed on the moon yesterday." And I thought, how do you embellish anything that's so big? So I thought, this is so big for Arkansas history. My lead paragraph is simply going to be, Governor Bill Clinton was elected President of the United States on Tuesday. And I just left it at that.
That's awesome.
Let the facts speak for themselves.
You know where I was on that night? I actually was the guy that was in charge of planning the whole election night party in the streets of downtown Little Rock. Little known piece of my my Arkansas history there. I was down there with the Secret Service. I was coordinating all of the security details, all of the different watch night parties that were going on in all the different places. And I just had different perches around downtown Little Rock that night, was watching it all unfold. And I was down on the lawn when they came out and you know, that did the big hurrah there at the very end.
We didn't finish up in the newsroom till about 1 a.m. Of course, as
it
you
was
know,
a
the
late
party went
night.
on
And you
all
came-
night.
I remember reading
And
you
well, I
came
put
over,
in my
yeah.
column a week ago the anecdote that I went down and Clinton had gone into a party, as you know, Roby, with his big donors, and they were allowing no press except for one person, Phyllis Brandon, who was the high-profile editor. Phyllis got into everything. She was taking pictures.
Still could.
And she was coming out, and I saw she had credentials around her neck, and I just ripped them off of her and put them on.
I was the guy that made those
Oh, okay.
credentials. That was my
You may have
security
been the one
system
hollering
destroyed
at me. I
there.
remember somebody from the Clinton staff going, Rex, no press in there. And I just went in real quickly, and I talked to a very hoarse Bill Clinton about 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, so that night, on election night, I was at one of these perches, and I saw Jim Guy Tucker, the lieutenant governor at the time, knowing he was going to be governor, lost in the crowd. He was supposed to be over by the Excelsior, and he was over by the old Camelot, which is the DoubleTree now and the Marriott. But so I went down and found him and sneaked him through all the Secret Service canals back to where he was supposed to be at that VIP function that you were sneaking into, apparently. And right before I let him in the last door, he said, "Now, what was your name again?" And I said, Roby Brock, and remember me because I'm going to ask you for a job in about 2 weeks when I clean this mess up right here. And I did go on to work for his administration.
Absolutely.
And that's how that started. So, all right,
fascinating.
we've got a few more minutes here. Let's talk about what is happening in the Arkansas election cycle for 2018. We have seen a flurry of candidates coming out and announcing that they're going to run. And quite frankly, it's been a heavy Democratic announcement. And I've even noticed there's even a heavy Democratic announcement with a lot of teachers and educators in their background there. What do you think's happening, Shane?
Well, I don't know that I know the exact answer, but you're right. I remember when we were talking several months ago, it was basically nothing, and really had not been any announcements, and we were kind of trying to figure out, when, if, and those kind of things. So in the last few weeks, it really has picked up steam. I think you're probably starting to see, because education has been a big issue, school choice has been a big issue at the Capitol the last couple of sessions, that you're probably seeing some educators who are now going to come to the defense maybe of public schools. You've had the whole the school choice and charter school discussion, and it may be that educators are out there recruiting people to go and now try to serve in the legislature because of those issues.
It's actually it's been good. It's going to be good for political coverage.
It
to have
is.
more, the more the merrier.
And by state standards, it's very early. We didn't used to see, now national campaigns have gotten earlier and earlier, but we didn't used to see these November announcements the year before an election year. We'd see announcements in the spring.
Right.
And it just gets earlier and earlier and earlier.
All right, the governor, Governor Hutchinson, has hit the 2 million mark in his fundraising. You've been around politics a long time, worked on a governor's campaign, obviously. You've been around politics and worked with governors before. How impressive is a $2 million mark at this juncture?
Very impressive. That's a big number to have heading into the year. To already have it prior to the start of an election year, I think it's very significant. And I think he holds, his approval ratings are very strong, and I think they're very organized and ready for primary challenge and certainly a November challenge. But that is a strong number to post.
He is one of the 3 or 4, and you do polling, Roby, he is one of the 3 or 4 most popular governors in the country right now.
Yeah.
Of course, we saw Shane's old boss, Mike Beebe, for about 8 years maintain that. Huckabee was very popular. We tend to elect people we like here in Arkansas and keep liking them, unlike a lot of other states, it seems.
That's good. All right, we got to take one more commercial break. I want to come back and talk about what you've got coming up programming and what you've got coming up in your writing, and I'm going to put these guys on the record with a political prediction, perhaps. Stick around. We're back after this break. And welcome back to our final block of the show here. I'm with Shane Broadway and Rex Nelson. All right, guys, need to get a little caught up on what you got going on. Rex, what do you got in the works on your columns?
Well, duck season starting. Of course, Thanksgiving week swings over the prairie, so I'm writing about the Grand Prairie of Arkansas, a very unique region and one of my favorite regions in the state.
All right, it's definitely worth a read. Arkansas Online, as well as pick up a newspaper.
Right.
You like the hard copy
buy
right
a real
there.
newspaper, why don't you, by golly?
Yeah.
Shane, you are putting together your your December program.
Just had the
for
November
Political
program.
Animals
We had
Club.
David Wilhelm, the chairman of the Clinton Gore campaign,
That's
for
it.
our November program. December, all-star lineup.
Really?
Tickets will
Please
go fast.
share.
You want to get it. Well, actually, I understand you're going to moderate a program
is true.
with Rex Nelson and John Brummett. I mean, How more stellar can a guy get
Oh,
than
that's
that?
pretty scary.
Who will talk the most? That is
That's-
the big
that's actually
question
the
right
early
there.
money,
It's a
yeah.
2-hour political
We
animals
probably
club,
will
right?
have to extend, yeah.
All
We
right.
probably will have to extend. But looking forward to that. It's going to be
All
good.
right, good deal. All right, before we get out of here, I want to get some sort of prediction from you guys. We will go Shane Broadway first. Tell me something I don't know.
Red Wolves will go bowling.
All right, what bowl?
That's a good. That I
Give me a
don't
guess.
know.
Give me a prediction.
I'd like to go to New Orleans.
Okay, all right.
He just
Rex would
likes
like to
to
go
go
to
to
New Orleans too.
Let's go eat. Yeah,
I'm
let's go
taking
eat.
Rex's list
All
with
right,
me.
Rex, your prediction.
All right, along those lines, with Shane at the table, I'll tell you, with a new athletic director soon in place at the University of Arkansas, Arkansas and Arkansas State will be playing each other in football on an annual basis within the next 5 years.
Wow, that's a big prediction
that.
there. All right,
That's
my
definitely
prediction is that we may see a Democratic primary for the governor.
Interesting.
How about
Wow.
that in 2018? That would be certainly something nobody sees coming.
No.
It could happen. We'll see how right we are with our predictions. Shane Broadway, Rex Nelson, always good to be with you guys.
Thanks, Roby.
Thank y'all for coming in.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the program this week. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.